Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation portion of it. I am excited because I have Amy Lokken of Modular, and she is a visual presence designer. I am excited. I can't wait to start talking about her, about the clutter behind us. Amy, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, Jen, thank you so much for having me. I am super stoked for this conversation.
So, what made you decide to become a visual presence designer?
Well, it's an interesting little journey. My background, so I've always been in the kind of the creative space and all of that. And I went on after high school to get a degree in industrial design with an emphasis on theatrical set design. Ended up doing my thesis on furniture design, and then spent 15 years in the shopping center industry. So, interesting little journey. But I really realized that what I was passionate about in all aspects of it, and it really became a full circle to today, where it is really about how we're showing up, especially across the camera lens. How are we connecting with our audience? What story are we telling them? And in all honesty, we can actually make a deeper connection more authentically across the camera lens than we typically do in person when we're first meeting somebody. And I'm going to explain that a little deeper in the fact that you are in your safe zone, I'm in my safe zone. When we are in our safe zones and we are showing up as our best, we give
Mm,
our best across the lens
mhm.
because there's no judgment, there's no barrier. If we are being strategic and present in the moment as the best version of who we are. So there you go.
Wow. So I want to read the statistics before I ask you a question. And
Yeah.
according to the statistics, 36.2 million American employees will be working remotely by 2025. So, with that, Amy, what is more or less our disorganized background? What kind of message is that sending to people when we show up and our background is just disorganized?
Oh, well, first and foremost, there's a lot. There's a lot there, and that's a fantastic statistic. And there's a part of me that actually thinks that might be a little low by that point in time. But what does that disorganized background really mean? From a human psychology standpoint, it is a total disruptor in identifying you as credible, first and foremost. The person viewing you, your audience, is completely distracted. They are not paying attention to you whatsoever. In fact, most people will start to shut down because they won't be able to focus on anything. And in all honesty, what we really want our audience to focus on is us. Like, let's make that connection, human to human, person to person. That's what that is meant to happen. When we have a disorganized background, your audience doesn't really know where they're supposed to be paying attention to, and really hone in on what you're even saying. You end up being the Charlie Brown teacher, wah, 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 because the background is disorganized and it's not giving somebody the true version of what you bring to the table.
And you're right about that because I've been in business meetings where, and I understand when I'm doing a consultation, that's different. But in a business meeting, you are right. It is distracting because I'm really not listening to what they're saying. It's like that Charlie Brown teacher talking wah, wah, wah. So you're not paying attention. So, what are like maybe a few strategies for someone who really wants to improve the background on what, maybe some do's and don'ts that we really should consider?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not saying that everything needs to be perfect. Okay. I'm looking around at my office peripheral and all that, and I'm in a little bit of production and reorganizing. I can't have a lot of clutter around me. And at times we do. It's just part of life. However, when I am on camera, it is about you. It is about my audience. It is making sure that I am present and that you're feeling it. I'm giving you an experience of what it's like to be in my space. So whether you have a background like mine, where I actually have a textured wall and I have a few very curated pieces that are telling a story about me, a simple turnaround to a blank wall is so much better than anything else. Throw a little greenery in there if you to add a little depth and texture. Green plants, green foliage of anything is a really great way to soften your space and bring life and depth and texture to a space. It also changes the energy of the space for your audience. So honestly, a blank wall, it can have color, it can have texture, throw some greenery in there. But really, honestly, we all have that small space. And most people, I'm working on a desktop because I do a lot of design, but a lot of us are working on a mobile type of device. So whether it's a laptop or, pulling up an iPad or whatever it is, you have that ability to, half the time, it's just a matter of turning around. You're on a meeting for maybe half an hour, 60 minutes, you can accommodate that. First and
Mm,
foremost, a blank wall, throw a
mm.
plant.
And I like that because it's simple, and like you
Mhm.
said, especially if you're on either a laptop or a tablet, are a little bit more mobile than you are when you're on a desktop. So I love that, Amy. Thank you so much. So, Amy, with all that you do with working with clients, and I know you've got a lot of other things, and of course, family and friends, how do you manage to stay organized? What are some of your tips?
Oh, well, I really like to end my day first and foremost with a very clear mind. Like I like to, you know what? At least gather all of my papers in a pile. It maybe a pile, but at least they're not all scattered across my desk. I need to leave my workspace somewhat organized. I understand that there are always projects for me constantly on the go, but I just like to have them neatly away. I also like to then declutter my mind and then leave my space. Even though as a business owner and entrepreneur, we always carry a little bit of it in our subconscious and it's always on in the back of our minds. But then it allows me to then transition and give. I'm really big on being present in moments. So if I'm able to tie up loose ends as best as I can at the end of my workday and leave that until the next day, but then that frees up that personal time with friends and family and whatever else is happening beyond that. Now I begin my day very early. I am an early riser. You do you. I envy people who can be night owls. That's not me. That, 3, 4 a.m., body just wakes up. I get up and I'm out of bed and out the front door within roughly 5 to 7 minutes, and I'm walking my dog in the morning. It's it's kind of like my warm up. It's where I kind of like meditate, do my conversation with myself, my dog, the world, whatever, God, whoever you're connecting with. But it's my time. I do that. And then by that time, I'm like ready to come back. I have my cup of coffee. I do a little workout. And by that time, I'm ready to go. Now I'm looking at my calendars. I'm having my protein shake and I'm, you know, understanding what my day is going to look like, but it is about making sure that I end my day having those things in place. I'm not necessarily, I may think about them, but it's more of having everything so I'm not surprised. I have my day understood by right around 6:30 ish in the morning, so by the time I'm in my office or wherever by 7:30, 8 o'clock, for the most part, there's surprises here and there, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty set and organized for my day. And that's really, I also don't put out my schedule longer than 2 weeks at a time. It allows me to be a little bit more flexible. I work with people around the world. Time zones are interesting these days. Often refer to my meetings in, Australia or New Zealand as my meetings in the future because they literally are the next day.
And I thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna have to start changing my mindset. Meetings in the future. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it is kind of fun. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I have a meeting in the future. And it really is about a mindset. If obviously things come up, but that's one of the reasons I only put out a 2 week schedule. Things change. It allows me to stay centered as much as possible and not getting overwhelmed with, oh, okay. And sometimes I do have to schedule things out. Like I have, you know, noticed on my calendar, I'm like, oh, wow, I have a meeting in the future that
Uh,
is going to make me very late in the evening, nighttime actually.
mhm. Mhm.
And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to have to, updating my calendar, I'm going to have to accommodate how I'm going to be able to be on at 10 p.m. when I'm normally like that. So,
I understand. I understand sometimes I had a 6 a.m. meetings, but thank you for the meeting in the future. And I too have to
mm,
clear my desk so
yeah.
that when I come in, I'm more focused on what I have to do and not kind of distracted by all the stuff
Mm,
that I have to really, really do.
yeah.
And of course, and I want to close with this. They say, Amy, the 9 p.m. is the new midnight now. It is. It's the new midnight. It's the new midnight.
Oh,
Amy, I
it's
could talk to you for hours, but I want you to share with the listeners and also those watching the video how they can connect with you.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? Honestly, emailing me is one of the best ways. It's Amy at MUD, that's Amy AMY, at MUDMODULAR.com. Mood modular, it looks like mud, but it's mood. We have little umlauts above the U, but we can't put those typically in our search engines or our emails. But yeah, Amy at Mud Modular is really honestly a great place. Obviously, LinkedIn, most of the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Mood Modular, the Amy Lokken. So
And I will make sure that I have all of those listed in the description below so you can connect with Amy, whichever form and platform that you're already on. Amy, thank you so much for your time. This has been a wonderful conversation. And of course, we'll probably have to have a part two.
well, thank you so much. And I seriously, we literally could talk for days.